capital letters inaccurately slammed post second speech mark, a bewildering lack of punctuation prior to the second question mark, statements from consecutive speakers bundled together within the same paragraph. It's enough to make any English teacher reach for the exit or another Schofield on Shakespeare video. Stay tuned. Unlike in some previous videos, many of my pupils are still unclear about the rules for using speech marks accurately. So let's go back to basics. Number 1 is ensuring that you always have a capital letter post the first speech mark, even if the speech starts mid-sentence, as in, you always need to have punctuation prior to the second speech mark. My pupils so often forget to do this. So, to finish the first example from Rule 1, this is a fairly strange thing to say and seems to contain a degree of enthusiasm, hence the use of an exclamation mark. However, in most cases, you will be able to use a comma. Hence the slight tweak to the rule. Poor befuddled lass. The third rule confirms that there's no need to put a capital letter for those short post-quotation phrases such as he said or she muttered. So, to return to an earlier example, this rule explains what to do when you want to position he said, say, after an opening utterance and carry on. An example would be, note that when you resume speech mid-sentence, there is no need for a second capital letter. And finally, rule number 6. Always start a new paragraph for a new speaker or when the speaker changes. My God, it makes your writing so much easier to follow. Which version would you prefer to read? This one or So 6 rules. I'd recommend copying these out now. Press pause if you would like to do this. The video will resume in 5 seconds time. Now for some practice. First up, some writing taken from a past pupil. I can confide that some rules have been broken relating to speech marks. But which ones? Read through, ponder, and write down which rules have been broken. So press pause now. What did you make of the writing? Well, the semicolon has been used accurately. There's some personification within the first sentence, which is partially successful. I like the adjective disgruntled and the principle of having plenty of description about his bedraggled appearance. However, to cut to the mustard, this piece is littered with speech mark blunders. In particular, the woeful absence of capital letters after initial quotation marks. It should be However, also notes the heartbreaking failure to start a new paragraph for a new or a change of speaker, which makes this piece so hard to follow. Imagine if this fine young man had written and set his work out like this. What joy! The earth exhales. Now, there are some other errors which you may be desperate to see corrected. For instance, there should be a question mark here, no? And why is this a comma? Perhaps this pupil would find it helpful to watch the first in this series of top 5 most irritating errors videos. Now it's time for task 2, dear viewers, subscribers, and especially pupils. Rewrite this passage, ensuring that speech marked punctuation has been used accurately. Off you go, it's pause time. Let's sort this out, guys. Firstly, which rules have been broken? Number 2, there must be punctuation before the closing speech mark, and this will normally be a comma. That's better, isn't it? But what about rule 6 for the first exclamation from Pauline? This is how it should look. However, a few other errors irritate. And why not use an old-fashioned question mark for a question? And does a proper noun not deserve a capital letter? Growing in confidence? Of course you are. Time for one more activity. Once again, some writing from a past pupil. Correct the errors. We want the speech marks to be used accurately. Press pause now. What clangers have we here? The first one appears to take no notice whatsoever of rule 4. Where is the second comma? And what about the extraordinary position of this comma? Good grief! Remember, so this is how the passage should be written. Hurrah! It seems a bit disingenuous to end a video on speech mark blunders with this comment, but I'm going to do it anyway. I would actually recommend avoiding speech within your narrative descriptive writing pieces. As well as the increased likelihood of a clangor, the content of speech is often mind-bogglingly mundane and thus reduces the chances of your writing being viewed as sophisticated and engaging. But if you do use speech, for God's sake, don't break any of my 6 rules. Many thanks for watching Schofield on Shakespeare.